So here's what I've done so far. You can see the dry spot on the left and the wet spot on the right. So I've broken my shovel again. I have to repair that, of course. So that's another day wasted. No shovel anymore. Well, I was just getting in a rhythm when that happened. So looks like I'm not shoveling anymore today. Luckily, last year I thought ahead, and I've had this one sitting up here all winter long, and I should be able to cut it into the right size. It hasn't been wet. It was fresh when I cut it. It should be really strong. If not, I have another shorter one, and I have this really long one here that I can cut off at any length I need also. So I've got two spares. Probably time to cut another spare. The only problem is last year when I wasn't here, every time I was done with the shovel I just threw it out here. It was literally laying right here with green everything around it. Every night slugs would come to the handle and suck on it. And I'm not blaming the slugs necessarily, but the wetness rotted out the wood, and it rotted out my other shovel too that I threw here because it broke earlier when I was cleaning out the fireplace last year. So I think I've learned my lesson. I've got to hang my tools, and I just have to find clever places to hang them where people can't see them, like a flag. It's starting to look like episode 5, 6, and 7 of last year's stuff, because the wall's getting nice and shaped here. That was my original plan. That's how it was before the flood. So I've got that going nicely around. This is representative of, seriously, only an hour and a half of work plus a couple breaks for breathing correctly. This is a very, very hard 2-day job. Like, hard enough that it could kill me. A doable 4-day job. And as I counted, a maximum of 7 days, not including the entranceway. I'm still trying to figure out what to do with the entranceway because I don't want to dig this down much more. What I'm doing right now is both of the shovels that I destroyed last year have wood in their handle, the metal part of the handle, and I can't really chisel it out of one of them because it's welded around it. It was probably wet when they hammered the shovel handle in there, and then it dried, it formed the shape of the handle. It's hard to get out, and there's a nail through it inside that I can't really get at. So I decided to burn a fire, so I cleaned out my fire a bit. The fire looks a bit destroyed. It collapsed and I can't get it perfect. However, it's drawing really well. You can see all the smoke comes up the top, not any comes out from the side here. And you can hear that hissing. That hissing is the sound of the shovel handle inside of the shovel itself. And so it has to dry out before it will burn. I'm going to collect a few more stinging nettles here. Notice how the ground here is very dry. These sticks are very dry. So let's just grab some of this stuff here, just to show you a point here. So this is laying right on the ground. There's a bit of dampness there in the water, sorry, not in the water, but in the ground. There's a bit of dampness. But you can see these are just laying right on top, exposed. And here we go. There was a pheasant. Oh, there he goes. So he's flying back that way. That's probably the same pheasant that I scared up earlier. Anyway, so right here is a fire. I'll just kind of put these things on the fire. Right in there. So it's burning immediately. It's not wet at all. It's laying flush down on the ground and just burns with ease, no problem, right? So nobody's surprised that fire burns, as the fire does. However, throwing my knife. Here's my throwing knife. I missed there. I hit it with the blunt end, but that's not the point. The point is I can throw it from there. And I held that one wrong. But when I held it right last time, it stuck and then bounced off because it wasn't the right angle. And it got to this angle here. So here's the angle. It hit like that. Now watch closely. In other words, it's soaking wet there. See that water? See that? So this log is chock full of water. It's one of those old ones I found that's been rotting for years. There's zero soil on top right now because it was eroded, but I'm going to of course cover this up here. Pretty soon I put some more little bits here. This is just an example of how much water one Hugelkultur log that's buried properly holds. And this is on the surface. This has had time to dry in the sun for the last 3 or 4 days. And here's my hand. See that? That's from that piece of wood. That much water just dripped out. Watch, I'll squeeze it again. In a piece of wood that's 2 inches long. 2 inches long and that wide. That's how much water it holds. Okay, to me this is amazing. Maybe it's not amazing to you, but last year I planted corn on the back row of this. And this year I decided, no, I'm not going to plant any corn because I want to plant potatoes in there. I'll turn the whole bed over and I'll wait a while because I'll plant the outside first and then they'll do the inside last. This way the potatoes on the inside I'll dig last in the year in the very end of autumn because they'll be protected from the outside animals, and those potatoes will be protected. And I was just messing around back here. That is corn. That's corn growing. See that? There's, I believe, another one there. And here are at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 corn growing. Those are 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, plus that 6th one, and maybe I saw another one someplace in here, but 6 for sure that have volunteered from the seeds I but I tried to grow last year that didn't sprout, stayed in the ground all year long, and woke up this spring. That to me is amazing. I have no idea. I know things grow volunteer and I shouldn't be surprised, but I thought those seeds rotted and that I actually had a pretty good showing of corn on the back edge of this thing, so I wasn't really that worried about it. So apparently I've got corn growing. Pretty happy about that. I'm going to cut this horseradish into, I think 9 pieces. And so it's been washed and all the little tiny roots have been cut off, and it was from a shop, but from what I've heard, if I cut it into big enough pieces it should sprout. And I'm going to cut it into each one into a third, so that's 9 pieces, and we're going to plant them where I've already finished digging this year, and it's going to be at a certain height so that we can grow other things in other places, and we'll see. Okay, so here I go. If I figure this is the middle, then the first third should be here, the second third should be there, and that's just how I'm going to do it. It's going to be uneven, but that's what I'm going to do. I think I can't do this without I can't do it with one hand. Oh, it's hard. Maybe I can. Yeah, they're very tough. And I'm going to cut each one of these in half to make it about the same. So here we go. In half, in half, and in half. Those things are tough. Anyway, I think from what I've heard, any piece like this is enough. I should put them in the ground at an angle, and we'll plant them. Here we go. Okay, so this side is mostly the shady side. From what I've heard, horseradish likes the sun, blah 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 blah, and so my experiment is going to see if I can colonnade the unsunny side with horseradish this summer. And because nothing else wants to grow back here, but horseradish grows tall and has nice big green leaves, so I think it can handle the shade and grow up high enough to catch some sun. It'll force it to grow higher, so I have this right in those places. So there's 3 there, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just going to bury them by cutting a wedge down with my knife and shoving it down in about no more than 3 inches deep. Maybe 4 at the most, but I'm aiming for 3 inches. So here I go.